Welcome. I'm so glad that you are joining me. You know what, I was reminded of something that happened recently. Someone reminded me of a conversation that I had with them nearly 10 years ago. They said, Priscilla, you said to me that you wished you had a camera so that you could record some great conversations you were having with really remarkable people so that you could share them with everybody. Well, now there's a camera and you're the everybody that I want to share this conversation with. This is going to be a good one. You're not going to want to miss it. So pull up a seat and make yourself at home. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here with the Chat with Priscilla. That's where you are. I hope you'll pull up a seat, grab a favorite cup of, you know, whatever you got going on there, some coffee, a latte, some hot tea. Just pull up a chair and enjoy our conversation. This is actually part 2 of a conversation I've already been having with Pat Smith. Will you help me to welcome her back to our program today? So glad that she's been joining us. We've been talking about many things, many things. You'll need to go back and view part 1, but we're getting ready to also allow to join our conversation a young lady whose life really has been changed, right? It's completely different.
Totally different.
And she's been impacted because of your story and the ministry that you now have that reaches out to women who need a second chance. Will y'all please help me to welcome Miss Jessica Garza to our program today? My baby. I'm so proud of you. Somebody over here.
And in Nashville.
Yes, and in Nashville. Well, you know, right off the bat, I have to ask you, does your hair have a name?
It's so good. It's called Jessica.
Is it called Jessica?
Y'all are twins.
We're twins. So Pat named my hair Jessica. Did
I
you know
heard that. I was going, yeehaw!
So you'll have to watch part 1 to know why we have named our hair, but we have, and I've encouraged every woman in the audience to also get a name for her hair.
I've named Jessica. I can name her.
Yeah, we've decided we're all going to have names for our hair.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica, we're so glad to meet both of you today, and we need to know your story. We need to know how has Treasure You impacted you, where you've been, where you've come from, and what's going on in your life now. Come on, tell us.
Well, first I have to say I have Kleenex here in case you need it. I was back there crying already the moment she mentioned Treasure You. Amazing.
You've got this apple in your hand.
I do.
Tell us why.
Pat doesn't know about it.
Okay.
I saw you with something. I'm like, what's she up to?
So 20 years ago, I was a television reporter. So I know what it's like to hear everybody's story. And through my advocacy against domestic violence and speaking, it wasn't me. It was the Holy Spirit that said this is the best way to get to people, to make them understand. So I love that y'all were talking about the veneer and the wigs and the lashes. And so what I say to this apple is, usually I ask people, what do you see? Mm-hmm. What do you see?
I see an apple, red, round, delicious.
Okay. So in reporting, you know that there's a story and there's different angles. So I'm going to get y'all involved. What do you see? A red apple. Does it look good? And then to the audience? So what would y'all think if I said that my perspective is rotten? Would you believe me?
Yeah.
So you see that?
I believe.
So this was me.
Put the good side on the outside.
I wanted people to see that everything was shiny, everything was good, because I was so rotten on the inside. And I was never angry. What happened with me was that it was a very short marriage. Some people endured domestic violence over years. Mine was fast. And so when I finally left, it wasn't because of a typical physical blow, you know, jealous. It was the emotional one, because I wanted to mourn the loss of my baby. I'm 46 now and I don't have children. I love my sister. I love Pat because she lets me enjoy her children. My sister lets me enjoy hers. So that's what made me leave.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What did your marriage look like?
Oh, it looked great. We were the couple that everyone wanted to be. Friends from high school, and he found me on Facebook, and it happened so fast. What they didn't know was that I couldn't, I found myself stuttering, the former reporter. I had to be aware of looking at someone for more than 3 seconds, or if the TV was on, and heaven forbid, there was a handsome football player selling pizza. At night, my sleeping, if I dared breathe a certain way, you wake me up. Who are you dreaming about? So yes, it was less than 2 years, but it was enough, especially when I couldn't mourn her. And which brings me to Pat, because that retreat that she's talking about, through my obedience, I started being an advocate, speaking. I figured God had me as a reporter once, so I'm going to use my voice. So through that, I was speaking to 1,500 lawyers, attorneys serving community, and Pat was there. She was the keynote. And that's how we met. I met Ronell, vice president. We stayed in touch, but I came out on her show, and she says, so I hear that you've heard of Treasure U, and yes. And you were trying to get in touch with us, yes. And then sneak over here, turns around, and she gives me this, and here's a scholarship. So I got to go to the retreat.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And you know, you kind of glazed over just a little bit the loss of your daughter, but just talk to us a little bit about that, what that looked like in your life and the journey from there. But talk to us a little bit about your daughter.
Sure. And I could say her name is Mercielle.
Mercielle.
And that's the name that I wanted to give her. For the longest while, he wanted Mercy Grace, because God had mercy on us and graced. But yet what he gave me through in vitro, he could take away too.
So you were pregnant at in vitro?
Right.
Okay.
So for many of the ladies, if any of them have gone through that, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And to even get to that point that you need it to begin with.
It's already emotionally taxing, and
Right.
it's already a baby, obviously, that you didn't accidentally get pregnant.
Right.
This is a baby you're longing for and that you want. So how long were you pregnant?
So I was 3 months, and we were supposed to hear the heartbeat. And that's when the doctor said, can't hear it, let's do another way to hear it. And now I'm thinking, oh, it's, my fat, the ultrasound, not through the fat. And she was so kind. She comes up to me and she's like, no, sweetheart, there is no heartbeat. And and I'm very proud of myself right now, because of all this whole month speaking 6 times, it's gotten to the point through the retreat, learning to forgive.
Did they tell you why you lost the baby?
With miscarriage, there is no answer.
Right.
They could say something as easy as stress.
Right.
In his eyes, I didn't do anything wrong. What did I do wrong? But when you put a woman through that stress of it's wintertime and you want to put your hands in your pocket, and why are you doing that? Why are your hands in your pocket? Are you trying to flirt with that guy and hide your wedding ring?
So it was controlling, manipulative, jealousy, out of control.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very abusive.
The point where you are pinned down to be submissive, where you can't breathe, all these are triggers for them, and for you, can you imagine the toll that it takes?
And tell us the toll that it took, because here you are, successful. You've got to pull yourself together every day, not just to go sit in a cubicle at an office job like so many of us, but you've got to actually be on camera, which means you have to look like you slept well last night and look like you've got yourself composed as a journalist.
Oh, but that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But you still have to go out into the world and be
Right.
composed.
Right.
And so tell me the toll that it takes on a successful, put together woman. What kind of internal toll does that sort of relationship take?
Well, you feel almost as if you're two people. Because when you go out there, you put on a mask, you put on this veneer, everything's fine. But yet you know that the moment when you go behind closed doors, it's going to be completely different. And that's why the cycle of abuse, a honeymoon stage, and then there's a, you know, you're walking on eggshells. The eggshells was every single day. What is it? What am I going to do wrong? Am I going to breathe a certain way wrong? Am I going to look at a man too long? So,
Did you live in fear?
It was not even fear. It was anxiety of, what am I going to do wrong this time? Mm-hmm. What am I going to do that I knew that look that he gave me, like, it's going to happen tonight. Mm-hmm. So I better hurry up and say something. And then to him, the more you try to say something, the more then you're guilty.
And the abuse wasn't just emotional.
No, the physical abuse, the pinning down, he knew that I was pregnant, and yet he'd still kick in my stomach area. You know, they think physical, emotional, but the financial. I was a professional woman. I was going to go back to the television station that I worked at. No, don't, because he wanted to be in charge of that.
And what makes you stay for 2 years even though you say that was a short marriage? But from the outside looking in, knowing that you were being abused in that way, because that's what a lot of women that are not in abusive scenarios don't quite get. They don't quite get, and it's easy to say from the outside, oh, if I was in that kind of scenario, I would have been gone a long time ago. But what makes a woman continue to stay day after day after the first time that you've been abused?
Because, you know, we think that it's our fault. We think that I did look at that man too long. Maybe the next time I won't do that.
But what do you say to yourself that says, even if I am at fault, mm-hmm. What trigger doesn't go off that says, even if I am at fault, even if I did look at the guy too long, let's say you did,
no,
it's still not okay for him to react that way.
Absolutely. But see, at Hope Store, they taught me personal boundaries. I never had those.
Never had personal boundaries.
No, okay. I didn't think I was worthy of them. I didn't know they existed. So exactly what you're saying, I dared not say that. Mm-hmm. I couldn't. I couldn't say anything remotely to protect myself. So in my mindset, I'm thinking, I am listening to him. It was my fault. So I'm going to make it better.
Did anybody know this was happening in those 2 years? Did you have any friends or any aunts or anybody that kind of knew that there was something going on that tried to talk you out of that situation possibly?
His hairdresser noticed a change in my being because I'm a happy person. I'm a smiley person. I look at people. So she noticed that I slowly started slipping away. My sister saw bruises, but I was so quick to, because I love him and I don't want them to get mad at him. So, I just fell down the stairs.
Is there anything anyone could have done or said to you that would have given you the courage to walk away sooner? Because I'm thinking about all of the women that are watching right now, all mm-hmm. the people watching, even those that are in the audience right now. And maybe they don't even know that what they're seeing in their friend is a sign that this is happening, first of all. So I want to know what you think the signs are that we should be aware of.
Okay.
And then is there anything that someone could have said to you that could have given you the courage to walk away?
Well, first, the action of my sister, simply when I called her, and that day where he didn't allow me to mourn my baby. And I called her up and I said, I'm coming. She says, okay.
And hang on, what do you mean by he didn't allow me?
That day that I left, mm-hmm. was literally, it was like a year and a couple months since I had miscarried. And I was wanting to mourn her. And that's the day that he told me, I don't want to deal with your emotional crap. Mm-hmm. And that's what made me leave.
Okay. That you were done at that point.
Because he could do whatever he could to me. He could pin me down. I couldn't breathe. He could kick me. But the day that I wanted to mourn my baby, that's the day. Let me mourn her. That's when I said I was going to leave. So what can someone do? Mm-hmm. They can be there for you. I knew my sister was there for me. So when I finally got the strength to say, that's my enough is enough, I knew that I could call on her. So ladies, you may think, what can I say, what can I do? Just by simply being there and knowing everyone is different. Yes, it took me 2 years, some people 15. What could you have done differently? I just pray for them that they come to their moment of enough is enough. There is no right answer for that. You know why? Because we think our love can help him. If only I love him a little bit more.
Well, you had a bridge, is what you're hearing me say, or what I'm hearing you say, and your sister, is that you had something to step out on. You're trying to take this step in faith, get your courage built up so that you can walk away. And you had a bridge, and that's what Pat was telling us in part one of this conversation, is that you need somewhere to put your foot. If you're going to step out, you need a person that is trustworthy, that you can count on. You had that in your sister.
Yeah.
And that's what Treasure You also gave to you, and that's what you're trying to give to as many women as you can.
Absolutely.
And how is Treasure You doing that? How did it work in Jessica's experience, and then how are you trying to offer that to others?
Well, first of all, like when I listen to her, and you know, I've heard her story multiple times. I heard it at the event where I was speaking, and I just fell in love with her. Like, it was an instant connection. She's such a precious soul, like an angel. And I remember going up to her, and I just like to today, just kind of went up there and held her at the podium. And I was doing a show in Dallas at the time, and of course I love to surprise people, and I asked her to come on and talk about her story, and I surprised her with a retreat. I didn't know what she was really struggling with. And at the retreat, you know, I'm thinking I'm just having her come, so she needs to be loved on, be with other sisters, and be treasured. But it was bigger than that for her.
At the retreat, because we don't know what we're walking into, we just know the agenda. So the Friday night slumber party, we're just thinking it's just that.
Yeah.
And there was a woman there, and we were all praying on her, and yes, that's what it's about. And someone came up to me, just like Pat, and hugged me, and I didn't hear what she asked, because we're praying on this other lady. And then I finally understood. She's saying, what would you like for me to pray for you about? For me. And so when we talk about Treasure You and what that represents, it's that moment that you need. And that's what I needed, because I had forgiven him. You know, I prayed for him, but I hadn't forgiven myself for staying for a whole year after. And when that lady asked me, what would you like for me to pray for you? I said, I told her, I said, you know, Alfred Hitchcock, I felt, like it was just me. The room had gone away, and I said, okay, I'm going to say it. I said, will you help me say her name? Because I never said her name because I didn't think I was worthy. Because I'm 46 now, 43 back then, no children. I failed her. And so I thought I yelled it. I probably said it small. But the fact that I said it, so that's why I'm proud of myself when I came out and I just said it to you. Her name's Priscilla. You know, but each one of us needs our little something. And that was my second chance to, not so much of a second chance to use my voice. No, it was to forgive myself and feel worthy of saying her name.
That's why I talk about second chances. It's not just that one big moment in
Right.
life. I just think that we all have a zillion second chances. The fact that we wake up in the morning is a second chance.
Yeah.
Every moment we breathe is a second chance. So, you know, I tell people it's hard to just say. I mean, I know that giving my life to Christ was huge. But after that, I've just had so many second chances. I think that was just one of them. And to watch Jessica now, like you said, just mention her name so beautifully, right? She could not say her name, and I didn't know that. And she screamed her name at Treasure You. And I think after that, I could just see her starting to walk. And Ronelle is here, she knows, she worked with Ronelle. The funny thing is that we ended up recruiting her to work with our charity, Pat and Emmett Smith Charities. And she's been amazing, but I've watched this very meek and very frail, vulnerable woman just walk and walk until she could find her voice. And she still gets emotional because she's just she's just a beautiful, tender-hearted person. But let me tell you, she has spoken for Domestic Awareness Month. How many? 6 times?
6 times. This is 7.
Bravo.
Like, that's what it's about. You're turning your pain into purpose.
Oh, yes.
For her to be able to share what she went through, and you articulated your abusive situation better than I articulate mine. Like, you were saying things that I'm like, yeah, That's how I felt. Like when you mentioned how, because people would say, why did you stay? And I remember being under abuse and the mother of the abuser saying to me, well, baby, you know you got to be careful what you say to a man. You know?
Well, mine said, I asked his parents, "What? Please help me, please." He says, "Mija, you just got to look down and walk forward." So to that I say, I am walking forward. I'm just looking straight ahead.
Very good, very good.
That's right.
And even better, looking up, our eyes on him.
Absolutely.
Our
Of course you
prayer,
would say
our
that. I love you.
It's true.
Amen.
So if there is a woman who needs Treasure You, I mean, honestly, she needs a bridge. What does that look like in terms of women getting connected and finding their strength again and finding freedom and finding a place to put their feet and have some courage wrapped around them? What does that look like?
So there's multiple ways. We have retreats, which are a big favorite. And so I'm going to be doing one again in 2017. Y'all pray for me.
I'm sure it's a big endeavor.
Well, it's a big endeavor, but it's the best. I mean, it's just I went on the book tour, so we didn't do it last year, but I'm ready. God's called me to do it this coming up year. The other way is to write us at treasureyou.org with your story. And we've done everything from, you know, my lights are about to be turned off. I'm a single mother. My husband left me. I have 6 kids. Our car broke down, da-da-da-da. And believe it or not, we've had people donate vehicles.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So typically when I get requests in, if I can find a match for that request, that's perfect. And then of course we raise dollars as a nonprofit and ministry. So if you want to donate and give a second chance to someone, if you've had one and you want to give one back, then of course donate to Treasure You. And those dollars go to support women to pay their bills, their rent, whatever it takes. Because again, it's a bridge. We're not the answer. Only God's the answer. But we are vessels to help each other to get over that bridge.
I love that. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful picture about connecting the dots of someone who's had a second chance, now wants to pass it forward, and can use Treasure You as a conduit to just help somebody else to get their feet underneath them once again and get their strength back.
And once you're a part of this community, you're called like a TY sister. So now, like everybody who's been to a retreat or an event, it's like, hey, TY sister, like, oh, that's my TY sister. It's like, it becomes this real beautiful sisterhood, you know, of ministry. And you're right, there are so many women who have come and benefited, like Jessica, who now she volunteers for every event. Like,
Oh, but you have to. My pastor said it best, Hope Fellowship in Frisco. He said, let your pain from yesterday heal you today so you can help others tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why. She says, Treasure You event, I'm there.
That's
always.
Good. That's
Always.
good. And that's what it should be about for all of us.
That's right.
You guys are a shining example to us of hope. Like I really think that someone's going to see hope sitting on this couch today from the other side of that screen that will just say that there is a way forward. There is a way forward. And they might not think that there is today. But seeing the two of you and hearing your stories, your openness and willingness to share like the real deal, because we don't get that a lot. A lot of times we just still get the veneer.
You just get this.
Yeah,
You don't get
that
this.
side. We don't need that side.
we want the real deal side.
That's right. Yeah, we need to name our hair. I don't know how I got back to that, but we want to thank
need to
you
take
guys.
Chelsea off.
That's
I'm not doing that.
That's getting real. That'll get real.
I was just about to say, is that what we're doing?
Maybe next time.
We
I
appreciate,
got to get my little cornrows right.
we appreciate you guys so much. Y'all give them a round of applause and thank you for being here.